Coming up on this back-to-school edition of Inside Bellingham, Brian Flanley shows us more about medical devices and training that fire department can use to save your life. And we'll explore the fascinating world of boat builders in our community with a visit to the Whatcom Museum's new exhibit, World of the Shipwright. And a visit with mystery writer Clyde Ford in his Squalicum Harbor stomping grounds. All this and an informative half hour full of hometown voices right here on Inside Bellingham. Hi, and welcome to Inside Bellingham. I'm Doug Waldo, and this is downtown Bellingham, a growing, vibrant, friendly place where people can eat, stroll, shop, meet friends, enjoy arts, and be entertained. If you'd like more information about downtown improvements or about road closures, head toward the city's websites for the latest updates, www.cob.org. And as we all are working together to build a new downtown, the city, the port, and the community are all working together to create a new downtown waterfront on the bay. And Mayor Dan Pike has been keeping us all informed of the latest plans through monthly reports right here on Inside Bellingham.
Well, the primary thing that the city and port have been working on is the environmental impact statement, the draft EIS, and that's going to be finished up. The comments period is closing up, and by, I'm guessing, about mid-October, things will be completed there. And the information that comes out of that in terms of what we can do in terms of infrastructure, in terms of view corridors, those types of bits of information are going to be incorporated and inform the process of creating a master plan, which is the last step before we actually kind of go out and start doing things, building things. What the city's looking for in the infrastructure and in the project overall is to make sure that the project is connected to and complements what we already have. So that means we want to have visual and infrastructural connectivity between the waterfront and downtown so that people feel comfortable and in fact drawn to move back and forth between the two. We want to have something that works, that isn't damaging to our current downtown businesses. So that's one of the reasons that I've been talking about the need to start developing at the edge of the current downtown as opposed to having an island of development out in the middle of the waterfront area that might damage our current downtown businesses. Another critical piece is the financial, the economics of the different options, because at the end of the day we can't do what we cannot afford, and certainly I think in today's economic environment people understand that very clearly, and so we will be looking. There's some fairly wide projected differences in cost for different things that we might or might not want to do, so we need to look at that. We also need to look at sort of the long-term implications of decisions, so that, for example, while it might in some cases be less expensive immediately for development to knock down some of the old structures, keeping those structures might enhance the long-term economic value and also the sense of place that's created. All you have to do is look around and look at some of the structures that are at the waterfront, and you know if you're down standing among them, you know where you are. You're in Bellingham at the old Georgia Pacific site. And there's actually some really interesting brick structures down there. Some of them are very iconic. And, you know, for folks that have gone to Granville Island up in Vancouver, or they've gone to some of the reconstruction and along the riverfront in Spokane, or they've been to some of the areas in Seattle where they've retained some of the old structures, it's those old structures that give you that sense of place that's very compelling and draws people in and actually makes the property values higher because a lot of people want to be in those places. It's really critical that we have these conversations, and so sometimes people see disagreement, but it really is, it's not disagreement as much as having a dialogue and trying to work through differences of opinion to get to the best outcome for the community. So basically what I want to do is I want to invite the community to participate in those conversations, because at the end of the day, this isn't a port or a city administration project. It's a project for the citizens of Bellingham, both now and in the future.
Our community's vision for Bellingham's waterfront sets the stage for an exciting new era. To learn more about plans for the waterfront, visit the city's website at www.cob.org. Bellingham has a long history of boat building. The Lummi Indians used giant cedars to carve dugout canoes for long journeys and for fishing in the bay and around the islands. Early settlers built the first commercial boats to transport their first commodity, lumber, from the mills to the markets, north and south. Big trees here made building big boats possible, and it wasn't long before Bellingham Bay was surrounded by boat builders, shipwrights. Well, a new exhibit at the Whatcom Museum's Arco Exhibition Hall explores Whatcom County's shipbuilding heritage, and we had a chance to visit the exhibit and have a chat with Todd Warder, the exhibit's curator.
On display, there are 21 boats built here in Whatcom County in Bellingham that represent a period of about 110 years, starting with the traditional Indian dugout canoes through to the traditional layup work that was done by shipwrights here on the wooden vessels, and looking at those early years of fiberglass boat building. No, this is not a stagecoach and it's not a prairie schooner. This was known as a river runner, and for a period of time during the late 1800s and early 1900s, there were hundreds of these things you could see on the northern branch of the Nooksack River. And you have to keep in mind that this was during a time when there was not a railway system or an adequate road system that was going into the county. So all transportation had to be done on the river at that time. By the 1880s in Linden, they were launching stern wheelers, 80, 90-foot long passenger boats like you would have saw on the Mississippi, and they were being used to transport goods and animals, supplies, people back and forth to the bay cities of Seaholm and Bellingham, and going as far up as Linden. The Bellboy Boat Company was the first boat company to enter the fiberglass boat building market here in Whatcom County and in the nation. In the 1950s, Arch Talbot, owner of the Bellingham shipyards, while producing minesweepers, was walking through the yard one day and noticed lifeboats for the minesweepers were made out of fiberglass.
Wooden minesweepers are building at the Bellingham shipyards in Bellingham, Washington. They use wood in these ships, not to conserve metal, but to protect the vessels against mines that go off when large masses of iron or steel pass nearby. Balancing the yard's production for Uncle Sam is its line of plastic pleasure boats. Embedded in the plastic are layers of fiberglass matting. The plastic flows through and around the resilient waterproof glass fibers and will be set under heat and pressure. Fitted out with deck, hardware, trim, and outboard motor, here we find one of the finished products out for a trial spin. Sleek and trim, it's really a brand new product of the test tubes of industry.
With that, the whole boating industry changed overnight, and quickly other boat companies were scrambling, trying to get onto the open market of this new industry that was just entering the pleasure boating world. This particular boat is a 1957 Bellboy cabin cruiser. The first ones were open top. They were very plain, but they were new, and that's what the people wanted. Another unique boat that was built in Whatcom County in the early 1960s is the blue and white Little Squirt that you see up here on the ceiling. Bob Moores, who was working at Uniflight at the time, was trying to come up with a fun concept, so something fun that they could play on the water. And only 2 of these boats were built 3 years before Sea-Doo came out with the jet ski. It's fun watching a grandfather coming in, taking his grandson in, and saying, you know, I built this, I worked at this yard, or these are the tools that I used. Their grandkids, they're learning this either for the first time, or now they're kind of seeing what it was that Grandpa did. And that's the pleasure, that's the excitement. It's the excitement of seeing how the people react to it, and it's making history come alive.
World of the Shipwright continues at the Whatcom Museum's Arco Exhibits building through June 2009. For more information, head to www.whatcommuseum.org. Bellingham citizens are the recipients of an incredible program spearheaded by Dr. Marvin Wayne, the fire department's medical director. The program provides our paramedics with cutting-edge life-saving tools and training. Research with Bellingham's paramedics may lead to significant changes in the way CPR is performed all across North America. Brian Franley has more about new techniques in CPR and also about Dr. Wayne's well-deserved recognition from Bellingham firefighters.
The Bellingham Fire Department, Whatcom Medic 1, have been field testing and product developing new emergency medical devices for the last 35 years. This benefits the citizens of Whatcom County because they're able to be exposed to leading-edge medical technology long before it becomes available on the open market. We've already looked at specialized devices that we use for airway and breathing emergencies. Today, we're going to look at cardiac emergencies. Janice Lipsansky is the Whatcom County Clinical Coordinator for an NIH study on this new CPR device.
The purpose of CPR, of course, is to compress the heart with the skeleton to pump blood towards the brain and through the circulation in the heart. After a chest compression, we have to be careful to relieve pressure on the chest. That creates a vacuum that brings blood back to the heart through veins that have one-way valves. If we allow enough time for heart filling, then our next chest compression is more effective. Unfortunately, standard chest compressions are only about 25% as effective as the normal functioning heart. The idea behind the rescue pump is to create that vacuum quicker, more effectively, and in a greater way so that we have better filling of the heart, and again, our next chest compression is more effective.
I hate to say it, but the first time I saw a rescue pump, I thought it looked like a toilet plunger with a high-tech T-handle.
As a matter of fact, there was an incident in San Francisco. One of the physicians that's involved in this study had received a patient in the emergency room whose family had resuscitated him using a bathroom plunger. That got this scientific mind thinking maybe there is a simpler solution to improving CPR, and it sparked the design of the rescue pump.
We're nearing the end of a 2-year study. How are things looking so far?
Things are going very well, but I have to say, Whatcom County Emergency Medical Services already had a great track record. Our success rate in responding to cardiac arrest was nearly twice that of the national average. And because we're involved in this study, we've improved on that as well. So more people are getting a pulse back in the field, more people are being transported to the hospital where they can get more advanced care.
Now, let's look at 2 other cardiac devices that the Bellingham Fire Department, Whatcom Medic 1, helped to field test. The first cardiac monitors were heavy, bulky, and could only look at the heart in 3 different directions. With the new monitors, we can look at the heart in 12 different directions, which allows us to pinpoint which part of the heart is being damaged in a heart attack. We can now contact the hospital with precise information about the patient's condition, which speeds up the process of getting them to definitive care in the cardiac catheterization lab. The process of defibrillation has changed also. If the patient's heart is beating in a chaotic manner, we pass an electric current through the heart which temporarily stops it, until the heart's own pacemaker takes over. The old method of holding paddles in the patient's chest carried a lot of risk, particularly when the ambulance was going around a corner or over rough roads. Now the pads adhere to the patient's chest, while a cable carries the charge safely from the defibrillator. The Bellingham Fire Department, Whatcom Medic 1, have developed a national reputation for field testing emergency medical devices. So how did this happen? Well, it's through the efforts of one man, our medical director, Dr. Marvin Wayne. In fact, he was recently given the title Hero of Emergency Medicine by the American College of Emergency Physicians. And now, a few words from Dr. Wayne.
Well, it was really a surprise to receive this award, but this award really doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the wonderful EMS personnel who we get to work with here in Whatcom County.
personnel that are equally dedicated to helping to save
Thank you,
lives.
Dr. Wayne. Among his many other accomplishments are... Guys, wait. No, we're not doing the durability test on Dr. Wayne. Ooh, well, that's going to leave a mark.
You can find out more about what the Bellingham Fire Department is up to and get great first-hand safety information at the city's website, www.cob.org. Bellingham's Mayor's Arts Awards is an annual program that celebrates local artists and their contribution to our community. Now, one of this year's recipients is Clyde Ford, and Clyde is an author of both fiction and nonfiction works. And by the way, he was the 2006 recipient of the Hurston Wright Legacy Award for Contemporary Fiction. Now, his latest book, published by Vanguard Press, is Precious Cargo, the second in a new mystery series that takes place, guess where? Yes! Right here in our own nautical backyard.
I wanted to write books that were set in this unique part of the world, and that's really where the idea for my Northwest nautical thriller series came from. I'm not Charlie Noble, who is the lead character in my nautical thrillers, but Charlie has a lot of characteristics that he shares with me. We both play classical guitar. We both love boats, particularly older boats. We both love the water. And we also enjoy people in a way that engages us to be interested in their lives and their stories. I mean, Charlie wouldn't be an investigator unless he enjoyed investigating. And part of investigation is looking into both the hidden and the surface aspects and attributes of people. So from that point of view, both myself, my background as a psychotherapist really kind of lends itself to writing about these types of characters and packaging it in an interesting, fast-paced thriller. I wanted to write books that were set in this unique part of the world, and that's really where the idea for my Northwest nautical thriller series came from. The first is Red Herring. The second, which is due to be re-released in hardback by Vanguard Press this September, is Precious Cargo. And Vanguard, who's also picked up the series, is going to release the third book in that series, Whiskey Gulf, in about a year. Well, the neat thing about writing a series is that you don't have to say everything about the character and his background and his hopes and his dreams in one book. You can let the character grow as the series grows. And so for sure, there are lots of things that Charlie is going to be involved in. I wish I could tell you all of them, but then I'd be giving away too many of my secrets. I will say this. I have spec'd out the first 4 or 6 books in the series, so I know where the series is heading, and I know that Charlie, now a widower, will probably not always be a widower. And as a boater, boaters have what we call two-footitis. We're always looking for the next larger boat, and Charlie's no different from any of us. Bellingham is a wonderful community to be a writer in. I feel very supported by this community, from the marvelous independent bookstore we have that anchors the literary life of this community, Village Books, to the wonderful readers and the fans of my series who are constantly prodding me for the next book and constantly thanking me for the books that reflect an area they love, that reflect a lifestyle they love, and that reflect stories that engage them as well too. So for me, the Bellingham Mayor's Arts Award is a very special award because it says that it takes a community to be a writer.
If you'd like to know more about Clyde Ford, his books, and his awards, visit his website at www.clydeford.com. Bellingham is a community on the move. Big changes downtown and a waterfront in the planning. Wow. It really is an exciting time to live here, isn't it? If you have thoughts about this show or others on BTV10, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us through our website or directly via email. Well, kids are going back to school. It seems like summer just got here. Well, time really flies, so I guess you better get out there and enjoy the good weather when it's, not raining and it's still here. Walk on a trail, visit a great park, or come down to downtown and see what's going on. A lot. Enjoy living in the best community in the entire Northwest. Bellingham, Washington, USA. I'm Doug Waldo, and thanks for watching.